It is season 3, episode 6 of the Hall of Fame show. And Evan, Nolan, and I, we're trying something a little bit different, kind of, sort of. Live to tape?
Live to tape, my friend. And I actually tried something different in a different place with lights. We'll see if that actually works for once.
Yes.
Probably not. But
I mean, it's our good looks that brings.
Oh, of course.
The
viewership
up.
All the beige mistresses to Hungary. I don't know, something like that.
Something to that effect. So what we basically mean is we've got the NFL Network on, and Evan's about 15 seconds ahead of me because I guess that makes sense. Chicago, Barbados.
You're on island time.
I'm on island time, yeah. So of course we're lagging behind.
You're lucky it's the same day.
There's something to that. Possibly. I'm not sure. So we're going to be reacting as we go because probably as we're doing this, likely in about 35 minutes, we're going to know who the Pro Football Hall of Fame is or the finalists of the class of 2022. All of you watching this already know, but right now we don't know. So we figure after 100 shows, we can do this off the cuff, right?
This is 106, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be good.
I know we're past jersey numbers that matter, so it's hard to remember.
Oh, it's Mark Wahlberg. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
With my mustache from 2 weeks ago.
Is that making good?
I can't say honestly, no. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I'm not even sure because I've got that sort of muted. But anywho, so I figure maybe we'll jump right in. So maybe jump into that point once we know, because that's really the main event. So maybe we could just go into our other sections and then just sort of like go do breaking news.
Yep.
All right, cool. I've decided, I think, that for my shit box, it's always going to now be the smorgasbord of shit. I called it that last week. I just think that just sounds so awesome. The smorgasbord of shit. And what that basically means is Kirk's just going to say whatever the fuck he wants on something that's irrelevant.
I almost tied the smorgasbord of shit to a restaurant, but I didn't want to hurt any future,
Arby's?
No, Arby's
Okay.
has it. But Cece's Pizza, I'm okay.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, never mind. It's not bad. I was kidding.
Okay.
Continue, though.
All right. So basically, I've just got a few things that I'm just going to get up. I don't know if this is going to tag in because I don't know what your good, bad, and ugly are. So this might overlap a bit. So if it does, just stop me.
Okay.
All right. So first thing, man, are you talking Olympics today?
Only very, very briefly.
Okay. Well,
Sorry, my wife just walked in. My setup is trying very hard not to laugh at me off screen here. So
because of the way you're sort of glowing
because the way I'm set up in our bedroom at the moment. So
oh, okay, that's where that is. Okay, well. We have a special guest on the show.
I don't know if she's heard. She just laughed. I walked in her saying 17 lamps.
Oh, okay. That interesting. Yeah. Oh, right. Well.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the second thing I'm gonna get when I move. One of those little circle light things or whatever the fuck.
I have one, but I can't figure out how to get the stand to come out. It's terrible.
I don't even know that I want to necessarily. That I think more lighting is gonna help me anyway. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so smorgasbord of shit. Continue.
Smorgasbord of shit. Man, these Olympics suck.
Hmm.
I don't even know what to say here with this. I was trying to think, like, I generally don't feel bad for multi-million-dollar companies. I know you don't.
Mm-mm.
But I feel bad for NBC.
I don't. They haven't done anything to promote these things at all.
Oh, sure. I agree. And I'll agree with that because, and I did talk about that in Summer Olympics, how they did virtually everything wrong. They put all their eggs in the Simone Biles basket.
And then she ended up with whatever you call a thing where you don't know where your body is when you're in the air, which is a problem.
Twisties, I think she called it.
Twisties, that's
yeah, the twisties. Either way, that was their big star, and it's got to be sort of hard. Where okay, now, well, Simone's out here cheering somebody on. Like it wasn't what they were hoping for. The whole thing was visually off. Do you remember when the whole pandemic started? And I know people don't want to hear about it, but how do you not talk about it? when sports was sort of pulled from us for a few months, we're thinking, well, God, let's just get it back in some capacity. And we get it back, and there's nobody there. You know, it's no distraction. It's a bigger reminder than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, 2 years into, or near 2. No, actually, 2 years in.
Yep, it's essentially 2. Well, we're about a month short of the Stifle Tower becoming the most hated man in sports for about 24 hours. So
Nice. You're in the United States, where we're 2 days away from 2 days, 3 days away from the Super Bowl, which is going to have a full stadium. Whereas we're looking at in China, where everything's empty. There's not. This is the most. It takes everything away. It takes all the for it. I watched the opening ceremonies. And my God, and I'll give NBC some props here. There's massive elephants in the room when you're doing this in China. They addressed them. They addressed all of them. The United States is not sending any diplomats. Like, that really fucking matters. I'm sure that was great for, what was it? Just a few people didn't get a free trip that would have accomplished absolutely nothing.
Right.
So you have that. You have the debacle going on with the Russian figure skater, which, as of this taping, is like, did you have that in your bingo card? I think if we would have said, okay, which country is going to get a doping scandal, we would have probably both said Russia.
That's essentially the free space in the middle of the bingo card.
Right. But where would a figure skater who's 15 be on that?
I mean, could be anything. I mean, yeah. So,
and again, why are they? I said this last week. Why the fuck are they there? They're suspended, and they actually still call themselves the Russian Olympic Committee.
But they have the flag of the Olympics and the Olympic hymn as their anthem.
Yeah, money again conquers all. I mean, I feel like I got to take a shower after every time I watch the damn thing. Then they trot out Peng Shui. Nothing to see here. All right, so we're gonna light the Olympic cauldron. Oh, and one of the people, they're a Uyghur. This is perfect. We're great. Nothing. 5 years ago, most people didn't know what a Uyghur Muslim was. This usually is when somebody hosts the Olympics for the first time, although this isn't their first time, but it's a showcase to really put you on the map in a different type of way. And it's different for everyone. I think it was really big when Norway had it, like in Lillehammer. That was something that I remember a lot. I think tourism spiked incredibly for Norway. Here, I don't think the reputation of China has ever been worse on a worldwide stage.
And it also doesn't help when they have, like, there's that one, I guess it's the snowboard air ramp is like just surrounded by unused nuclear power plant silos. It's like nuclear power plant silos. It looks like somebody photoshopped it in, because it's just like a gray apocalyptic communist landscape you'd see from something with a ski hill with artificial snow right in the middle. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, a few weeks ago, I said my Olympic interest went from 10 to 4, only because I was so stoked to see the NHL players there in the first true hockey tournament. I don't even know how long. I guess 6 years. Now it's gone from a 4 to a nothing. I don't even remember what bets we have.
Something about the U.S. and women's and men's hockey team, and something else I don't remember. I don't remember if it was overall medals or gold medals. If it's overall medals, right now I'm leading. If it's gold medals, you're leading. Sure.
All right, we'll declare a winner at another time.
Yeah, we'll declare another winner another time. I will say this: tonight, actually, probably happening as we speak, is, or maybe just as we started, is the last ever Olympic competition for Shaun White, 5-time U.S. Olympian. He's leaving the stage tonight, one way or another. I think he said his last competition before he's retiring.
Right.
Competitions. So that's happening now. Good for him. One of the great I mean, one of the great ambassadors for a sport. There are a few people more associated with the sport than the flying tomato with snowboarding.
And I think also too, great time to promote something that you and I have created, the United States Athletic Hall of Fame. We'll be announcing the first group of winners or inductees this year, all based on votes that you do. www.nothalloffame.com, www.nothalloffame.com/USA. Eventually I'll get that rolling out of the tongue. And to qualify, you've got to be at least 50. So even though Shaun White's retiring now at 35, he will not be on the ballot for 15 years. I can't see how he wouldn't be first ballot, but that's all up to you. We just help nominate them, and not just Evan and I. Pretty eclectic group of former Olympians, actually. Football players, writers, bloggers, a whole bunch of people, and
coaches.
Yep. We're pretty excited about that. That almost also in my poo-poo platter as see what I did there? Yes. Yeah. Of that, have you been following what's going on with Brian Flores and Lovie Smith?
Yo, that was actually going to be my bad.
That's your bad? Okay, I won't say anything there because I'm still trying to make some head or tails out of that. So I'm gonna hold off on that, and then we can have
my bad is going to be the Texans in this whole thing, but we'll get to that in a second. So
aren't they always the bad in something?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Right. So I was going to bring that up if you didn't, but you are, so I'm not going to jump in through there.
We always prepare a lot, guys, before this thing. So
yeah, but we're able to riff now. I think
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, so those two things, and I could do one political thing if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be hesitant too.
Yeah.
Would you believe I'm going to say something nice about Justin Trudeau?
Did he die and I didn't realize it?
No, he didn't die.
Okay.
I'm going to say this. As much as I detest the man, I will guarantee you one thing. He's not going to do what some of the American politicians do. You will never catch him without his mask. And that's been happening a lot to people on your side of the border. Trudeau will not blow this. He'll do everything else wrong. Well, I can't say that. Well, Trudeau does shit right. I'll say it. But I mean, Trudeau's he's not going to embarrass us that way. I guarantee you. Now I just said it. Watch the speakers wrong. So Justin, I rip on you all the time, but here's to you on my Diet Coke here.
He doesn't want Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police coming after him. So,
wow. Well,
yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'm just surprised she didn't say that the DC goulash instead of the goulash on the gazpacho.
I like that.
But anyway, all right. So should we go to our
The goulash is favored by 8 over the gazpacho, though.
I would say yes.
Yes.
So the gazpacho police, of course, goes around testing the temperature of your tomato soup, and if it's too hot, cannot be gazpacho.
Nice.
Anyway, all right. So let's go into the piece of past this week. Some interesting people with interesting careers past. I will start with. We did have another potential victim of the beige mistress.
Oh, what'd you do?
Tibor Bodnar, the Hungarian sports shooter who was in the 76 and 80 Olympics, passed away at the age of 66. We're doing one a week, it seems. So maybe she's warming back up after taking the second half of 2021 off. All right. So we lost quite a few people from the world of music. I want to start with Syl Johnson, who was a blues and soul singer, probably best known for his version of Take Me to the River, 1975. He passed away at the age of 85. Also had a hit in 1969 called Is It Because I'm Black, which reached number 11 on the Billboard charts.
I'm not familiar with that song.
Songs of the civil rights era. Yeah. So, he passed away at the age of 85, from heart failure.
That could be one of the more powerful titles I've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit number 11 and 69 on the R&B track. So not one of those ones that ends up on many of the Summer of Love Flower Power compilations. So we also lost Kerry Chater, a Canadian musician, best known as for his time with Gary Puckett and Union Gap. Also a very successful songwriter. He wrote songs that charted for Jennifer Warnes, Tanya Tucker, Captain and Tennille, Charlie Rich, The Carpenters, Lee Greenwood, Deuce Newton, George Strait, Reba McEntire, The Osmonds, Alabama, Anne Murray, and others. So a very successful Nashville-based songwriter, and of course, member of the of Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. Passed away at the age of 76. I believe that I don't actually see what he passed from. So Gary Puckett and the Union Gap is one of those bands that I don't think I've heard very little about ever getting the Rock Hall. Would you agree?
They're not even on my list.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever sniffed a tweet or an article about them.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that. I could come up with any of them.
Mm-hmm.
American jazz guitarist Joe Diorio also passed away at the age of 85. Easy for me to say. He performed with Stan Getz, Horace Silver, Nito O'Day, Frankie Hubbard, a whole bunch of people back in the 50s and into the 60s. Unfortunately, had a stroke back in 2005. He couldn't really use his left hand as much, which made it very difficult for him to play. But he passed at 85. Also passing was Donnie Gerard, who is a member of the band Skylark from the 70s. You remember them? Canadian band out of Vancouver. But also spent a lot of time backing up major.
What was their hit? Does it say? I know I've heard that name before, but
yeah, give me a second. It was
blanking on that.
Wildflower, which hit number 1 in the Canadian adult contemporary charts in 1973.
Yeah, maybe if I played it.
Yeah. But anyway, he passed away at the age of 75. Month before his birthday, passing most likely from complications from cancer. Also passing away, Betty Davis, not that Betty Davis, the other Betty Davis. Probably best known.
There's another one?
Yeah, singer, songwriter, and second wife of Miles Davis.
Wow.
Incredible funk singer. Kind of a fashion icon in the 60s into the 70s. Definitely, if there were ever like a hypersexual funk singer from the 70s, like imagine the most hypersexual funk singer you can think of. They didn't quite hit Betty Davis's level. So, but she passed away it says natural causes at the age of 77. I recommend you look her up. She only had 4 records, 73, 74, 75, and a comeback in 2009. But yeah, Betty Davis was kind of a badass. After she passed, I went and listened to all of her stuff for a bunch of her stuff for like an hour and a half the other day. So from the world of baseball coaching, one of the most successful Division II baseball coaches, Rudy Abbott from Jacksonville State, passed away at the age of 82. He's 9th all-time wins, Division II, and his team in 1979, Jacksonville State still holds the record for best start to a season. They started the season 29-0, which is
but they couldn't do 30-0.
Yeah, what the heck was wrong with them? So yeah, 2-time National Coach of the Year in 1990 and 1997. Also passing was John Sanders, who, like Moonlight Graham, played one game in major leagues in 1965 for the Kansas City Athletics. Went on to become the head baseball coach at University of Nebraska, and had over 46 of his players get drafted into the MLB, probably the most successful being Darren Erstad, among others. Darren Erstad and Pete O'Brien, probably the most.
Can I interject really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so since we're sort of reacting at watching the NFL honors right now. So it's the NFL Man of the Year, and there's Roger Goodell sort of flanked by, I'm guessing, Walter Payton's family, because they're doing the Man of the Year. Doesn't it feel like, see, I've got black friends?
Well, he sang earlier. I don't know if you saw that. He sang in the opening one line. And it was just about, as my daughter would say, as cringe as you expected. So
that's one of those buzzwords now that the youngins. I'm with you on that, youngins. God damn it! If I could have sounded more 50, I don't know how.
That I get. I'm still trying to figure out how to be on fleek, but I think that was like, half a decade ago at this point. Anyway, John Sanders passed away from cancer at the age of 76. Also passed away, member of the 1952 gold medal U.S. national team in basketball, Bill Leinard, passed away at the age of 92. One of the best players from Kansas back in the day. He, after the Olympics, he joined the Air Force. But he never really had a professional career. Although at 52, there wasn't really much of a league for him to go into.
No.
So he was 92 years old, passed away, lived basically his entire life in Kansas. A couple people from the world of wrestling who I don't know that well, but maybe you do. Ricky Hunter passed away at the age of 85. A Canadian professional wrestler known as the Gladiator. Yeah.
I don't remember too much about him. Just when I first started watching wrestling in the mid 80s. So he was near the tail end of his career. He just looked like one of those older guys at that point, but could wrestle, if you're just putting it bluntly. So he would sort of put on a mask and just because he could still go, but he looked like an older gentleman. He looked older than he was. I'm gonna guess that the other one you're gonna say is Candy Devine.
It is Candy Devine.
Yeah, female wrestler. I don't think she was ever in the WWE. I only learned a month ago that she was actually the girlfriend of Randy Macho Man Savage before Elizabeth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I didn't see what she died of though. I just said she was in hospice. So
she was 63. She had a number of seizures that dealt with a spine injury.
Maybe from all those years now.
Could very well be.
Yeah. Only 63 in hospice.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Not the way to go.
Yeah.
A couple of people I want to point out who don't necessarily matter things, but they just happen to die the same week, and we didn't necessarily realize who they were necessarily. But I want to spend a minute for Douglas Trumbull and Robert Blalock. Robert Blalock is the guy who is in charge of special effects, visual effects for Star Wars. Star Wars won his Oscar in 1978 for Star Wars. Nice. Basically, completely revolutionized the visual effects genre for that movie. He was only 73 when he passed away, but basically Lucas told him what he wanted to do, said, here's your equipment, it's old, you got to fix it and figure it out. And he and his team did. So good for him. And Douglas Trumbull, who passed away at the age of 79, is responsible for much of the same thing, but he did the 2001 A Space Odyssey, Ghost Accounts of Third Kind, Blade Runner, Star Trek, the motion picture, and a bunch of others. So two of the big heroes of visual and special effects, and how movies had developed in the 70s and into the 80s both passed away. Trumbull was 79. So
just think about those 5 movies collectively you just mentioned and how important they are to not just people our age, man,
but like the history of movies. Space Odyssey is just 100%. The special effects in that, Space Odyssey, Close Encounters, and Star Wars, all space-based films, but like all 3 of them just completely brought stuff forward that never happened before. You know what I mean? So,
no, definitely.
and then we have the 2 young guys that made me sad who passed away this week. Gerald Williams and Jeremy Giambi both passed.
Oof.
So I guess let's start with Gerald Williams. I always thought of him as a Yankee first, but he played with the Yankees, Brewers, Braves, the Devil Rays at that point, Marlins, and Mets in his career. He was only 55. Derek Jeter called him the best teammate he ever had. and one of his closest friends.
High praise.
Yeah, just one of the, I mean, I was surprised he only hit 255 with 85 homers. He just seemed like he was clutch as heck and scary to go up against. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Gerald and Bernie Williams were back-to-back terrors in like the early 90s. Yeah, just 55 years old, passed from cancer.
Yeah, I think that sort of like shows the power of the team you're playing around, in terms of name recognition and whatnot. It's like I don't know if this is the best comparison, but like when we were talking about Gary Sheffield a couple of weeks ago, there's someone who's arguably 10 times the player, and in terms of recognition, isn't that much higher than Gerald Williams is.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Also, one of the few people with 6 hits in a single baseball game.
Oh, wow.
Which he had. There's 15 inning game, but May 1st, 1996, had 6 hits against Baltimore in a single game. Which is also
what did they say he died of?
Cancer. He'd been suffering from cancer for a while.
Oh, shit.
But again, it's one of those things like, if Derek Jeter was suffering from cancer, we'd all know. If Gerald Williams suffering from cancer, you don't find out until later. You know what I mean?
Well, unless you do a Norm Macdonald.
Or exactly what happened to Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
So, by the way, you saw what Sackett died of that came up?
Yeah. What was it? Like a head injury?
Yeah, he hit his head and didn't think anything of it. Went to bed, like the little kids rhyme. He went to bed and bumped his head and didn't get up in the morning. Like, just absolutely crazy. Just remind me, if I ever get over 60 and I hit my head, just send myself to the hospital.
At that point, I'll be near 70, and I'm in a family of a lot of Alzheimer's. So if you're counting on me for that, yeah.
And then Jeremy Giambi passed away at the age of 47.
Suicide, they say, right?
Oh, was it? I didn't see.
Unless I read that incorrectly.
I didn't actually see what Giambi passed away from. I think Giambi's known for 2 things, probably in his career, or I guess 3 things. One being the younger brother of his brother, right? 2, the tag applied after the throw by Jeter, that underhand throw in the playoffs against Oakland, that Jeter kind of flipped it to Posada, and Posada tagged him out at the plate. And 3, being the guy who was brought in 2003 by the Red Sox to compete for the designated hitter spot with David Ortiz.
I don't mean to laugh there and chuckle at that, but
yeah. I mean, the Sox brought in 3 guys: Giambi, Ortiz, and Millar. And Millar stuck, and Ortiz became a Hall of Famer, which he was just elected, 2 weeks ago. And Giambi that was his last season. He didn't make another appearance after he was released in August of 2003.
And to be fair, going back on the little chuckle I had, Ortiz was not Ortiz at that point.
No.
Pedro
said he knew he would be, but no, not yet.
I just checked really quick. So I just did a quick Google search. So according to the New York Post, suspected suicide.
He was also caught in the Mitchell report with Balco and everything else. So my initial thought was steroids will kill you when I was a kid, when I first saw this. But
me too. No, you know what? I was getting Ken Caminiti vibes. That was the first name I thought of when I saw that he passed away. And it's just shit, man. I mean, like, you see it over and over when you abuse your body to an unnatural state. It's gonna catch up to you. I don't know. And again, we're speaking. I don't know anything other than a headline I just read. So I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't know what else he might have been dealing with, be it financial, personal, and this might have zero to do with any performance enhancers. I don't know. What I do know is 47 years old is far too young to give up on your life, unless
100% agreed. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that just on the same sort of note, though, 3 people I didn't mention this week who passed away. There were 3 bodybuilders who passed away this week, who were 45, 48, and 51.
Yeah.
But none of them were like Mr. Olympia or anything, so I'm bringing it up. But it was just like another reminder of people who probably were using something. The 51-year-old dropped dead of a heart attack while he was a real estate agent, was showing a house, and dropped dead in the house that he was showing. So, yeah.
Eddie Guerrero at 37. He just built himself up to a body that he was never meant to have.
Correct. Yep.
It's happens far too often. And, especially, you and I doing this at this stage. One thing I've certainly noticed, the 80-year-old athlete and the 80-year-old non-athlete pretty much looks the same.
Mostly, yeah. Sometimes they look better. I mean, Shatner looks incredible for 90, so you never know.
Dave, don't tell George Takei that.
No?
Well, yeah. Man, that hatred runs deep between those two.
Oh. Regardless of how he is as a person, he looks incredible for being 90 years old. So
to pay or not to pay, that is the question.
I think it's more the lifts. So that was one of my favorite things. Like he was a bad guy on Columbo once. He was the murderer, and even on Columbo, he got away with it because he was trying to get away with it because he used lifts in his shoes. So when he actually committed the murder, he didn't have the lifts in, so they saw a much shorter man. I thought it was hilarious that he kind of allowed himself to have fun poked at him. So for his height,
Shatner is brilliant in how he totally reinvented himself.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So anyway, elevator up, elevator down for you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So for those brand new, what I do is I look at people in the last little while or last week or so, who based on their weekly performance have increased their Hall of Fame chances. And as much as I just shit all over the Olympics, we've got a couple of Olympians that fit our Hall of Fame. And this might sound again like
there's the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame as well. Just so you know, there's the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame. So
there absolutely is, but I think the two people I'm going to mention were one I'm not so sure was going to get there anyway, and I think it also sort of ties in with again the smorgasbord of shit you've got. And I know they've been trying to really build them up, but there's only so much again you can do. Well, I think they should have. Well, the first person, that's Chloe Kim, who is now a repeat gold medalist. I know they're trying to build her up, but there's only so much you're able to do with a snowboarder that's not Shaun White.
Fair enough.
And Chloe, who's she's only 22, if that, maybe younger. So she's got a lot more. She is on track to be the most decorated female snowboarder, period. That's good. That will make her, I think, a first ballot lock eventually for what we do. And congratulations to her.
100%.
Yeah. The other one with an elevator up, actually got three. Actually, I got four, but one's not an Olympian. One I didn't even think of. One you and I never thought of. But I'll save that after, which I thought was like, holy shit! How did we ever completely miss her? Talking about her completely. The other one from the Olympics, Nathan Chen, who after an abysmal performance 4 years ago, is a gold medalist. Congratulations to him. He could again repeat. This is something that I'm not a big figure skating guy, but you remember Kurt Browning?
Of course.
Okay, so back before, I would have never made a bet with you back in Kurt Browning's day who's going to do better, Canada or the United States in Olympic medals, because we stunk at everything. So I remember when Kurt Browning was, I think he won I could be off on this, but I think 3 or 4 world titles going into the Olympics in a row, and then he goes to the Olympics and he just everything falls apart for him, kind of like what happened to Nathan Chen 4 years ago. And it just felt like on a much bigger stage, maybe for me, just because we didn't have other people to really focus on who we thought was a guaranteed gold medal. Oh shit, I forgot that. Actually, that ties in with something else I forgot on the smorgasbord.
Okay.
Yeah, but long story short, Nathan Chen, congratulations. You are elevator up for the Olympic one. Everything, ours, everything. and it's well deserved. And you kicked ass, and it was great to see. Also from the Olympics in the same category, Lindsay Jacobellis, who could have at one point been forever known for the person who hot dogged her way out of a gold.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and that'll still always be there. That might always be the top line in her Wikipedia page. I didn't look at her Wikipedia page, but it's really good because she just kept at it. I mean, she could have let that define her. She didn't. And I think that's a pretty good redemption story. My other elevator up is something that I never even thought of. It goes back. I feel like I'm really working hard on our US all, but this all fits. So here's this ESPN headline I missed complete. I never thought who will qualify next year. Days before her 50th birthday, surfing great Kelly Slater wins the Pro Pipeline in Hawaii. One of the greatest, if not the greatest female surfer ever. We don't have a surfer nominee. I will bring her up next year and we'll see what the committee says.
I hate saying this. Kelly Slater's a guy.
She's bad?
Is a guy, is a man.
Oh, well, I'm an idiot then.
His name is Robert. Kelly's his middle name. Robert Kelly Slater.
Well, here's what else we've learned. I know nothing about surfing. Here's the other thing we're also going to learn. I don't edit this out, so I'm just going to let this stay.
I know you don't edit.
No, I really should.
But that's okay. But yeah, anyway, I agreed though on Kelly Slater. I actually had Kelly Slater as one of my potential nominees until I looked up his birthday when we did this.
Nah.
No.
God damn it. Why didn't you put a pronoun in the headline?
But anyway, Kelly Slater winning a surfing competition right before his 50th birthday is pretty darn impressive.
All right. Well, this is a little embarrassing.
It's
all
okay.
right. So for the two surfing fans that we have, I guess I've lost them.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's going to happen.
I picked them back up. So.
All right. I appreciate that. All right. Send your hate mail to me because usually people do.
And we just want one more person to just talk about because he retired again officially. Tuukka Rask.
Yes.
Came back from a very, very tough injury, tried to play it out, but just couldn't.
Yeah.
Unfairly maligned by a certain segment of Bruins fans, partially because he came after Tim Thomas, and partially because the Bruins went 0-2 in the Stanley Cup Finals when he was the goalie. They should have won that finals against the Blues, but they came out completely flat. I mean, incredibly flat in Game 7. And he was doing all he could. It looks bad at the final score. It just looks like he didn't do anything. But he was the only person who showed up for that game. But yeah, I don't know if Tuukka gets in. It's always a little bit hard for goalies to get in.
I don't think so.
I think that he has an argument. But yeah.
Well, who's he behind in terms of goalies?
I'm sure quite a few.
Looking at Vernon, Barrasso, maybe.
Lundqvist.
Well, Lundqvist is not going to be blocking him because I think he's going to get in right away.
It all depends when he gets there, what it looks like. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll internationally too, no golds. That doesn't help.
No.
Raskas, I think he's going to be in that Mike Vernon, Cujo, Barrasso clog. If you line them all up, I've got Rask over Joseph personally, but there's a lot of love for Cujo, which I've never got personally. But either way, even if he's slightly ahead of Cujo, hasn't done shit for Cujo. His name never really feels like it's in the hunt for that. All-time leader in wins for an original 16. So you're pretty goddamn good.
Yep.
You're damn good. Do you think that he's done enough that the Bruins would retire his number?
I don't know. Because again, his legacy with Bruins fans, just because they never won this cup with him is odd. Because they never won a cup with like Andy Moog either. But Andy Moog is beloved. Like Lord Lord Byron.
His last name's Moog.
Andy Moog.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
It's like the Mookie rule.
Fair. But yeah, so I don't know if that will ever happen. I mean, there are going to be so many of these players from this era of the Bruins are going to have their number retired. Chara's going to get his. Marchand, when he presumably he's not suspended for his ceremony, will get his. Bergeron, of course, will have one.
You know what I just realized though, just going backwards here, I've been wondering, like in this current day and age, how I would handle misgendering somebody, and I've handled it really well for the first time. So
yeah, it happens. I mean, it was an honest mistake. So, yeah, but I mean, there's a bunch of ones who are going to go there. It'll be interesting to see because I think McAvoy has a shot at it. I think that Pasternak has a shot at getting the numbers retired.
He's doing phenomenal this year. He could have been another elevator up for me.
Yeah. There's this era of Bruins is going to have quite a few people. I just don't know if like he and David Krejci are the two
who I like a lot.
I'm not sure if the Bruins actually ever retire the numbers. They have championships, but I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, so this actually sort of tied in with another thing I wanted, or it doesn't really tie in, because I don't have any elevator downs, except for.
I think we have the Hall of Fame nomination coming up now. Just
we're doing? Okay.
So.
Damn you for being 15 seconds ahead. I had no clue there.
I'll just let you know. Turning it down here so we don't accidentally get in trouble for copyright infringement. Let's see here. There were 7 chairs set out, just by the way, to interview the Hall of Famers.
Is one of them already passed though, of the senior class? Like, is Art McNally alive or dead?
McNally's alive.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's our first one. Brett Favre is making the announcement, so you can guess who it is.
Aaron Rodgers already?
Yeah. Roy Butler.
You're so far ahead of me on this. It's insane.
Sorry, man. Do you want me to tell you or do you want to wait?
No, just go. That's fine. So Butler's in. All right.
Yep. Steve Young is announcing. It looks like Bryant Young.
No.
Bryant Young is elected.
Bryant Young.
Correct.
All right, I don't get it.
Ricky Jackson's making an announcement. Sam Mills.
I'm not surprised on Sam Mills. I mean, it just felt like they were going to do that for him in the last year. I think also too when everyone else can wait.
Yeah. Well, I figured Mills, like I said, I figured Mills was elected when they only had 7 chairs because everyone's alive except for Mills.
Yep.
That's why I brought that up.
Okay.
Derek Brooks is making an announcement. So I'm presuming that means it is.
So Bironde.
Nope. No, Cliff Branch is where he just did. Cliff Branch got elected.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we have Cliff Branch. Ty Law is here. There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Seymour. Thank goodness. I got nervous. So I got Young and Seymour. They cleaned out the defensive line. Kevin Williams, this is a great class for you, my friend. They remember he exists. And Ray Lewis made sure to stop and shake his hand on the way by as he walked through.
Wow.
Art McNally was elected.
Okay. Bryant Young, what am I missing on him?
So Art McNally's son is out there because Art McNally is 96 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Smith. Tony Baselli. Bruce Smith did Tony Baselli.
Well, if I were to pick the 5, I would not have picked these 5. I would have been way off.
No, I got 3. I had Butler, Baselli, and Seymour.
Yeah, I had the same 3. I thought Zach Thomas was going to get in, and Torrey.
And one of the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Vermeil.
Yeah. Well, I think at this stage we can pretty much cement that if you're in one of these 3 pools, you're going to get in.
You have at this point they have to. They're so backed up.
Yeah.
They can't afford to do there have been times they have just, had people who they've said no to and then elected later, which just is a complete waste of time and space. Like, just get them. There are too many people at this point. I think they realize it. There are too many people if they get to this point not to get in. So yeah, I can't believe that with DeMarcus Ware. I'm not surprised Seymour is here, but I'm surprised Bryant Young.
I feel like I thought this before already. Somehow he overtook Willis, and I never understood how.
Yeah,
still don't.
But I'm shocked that Thomas.
This is not to take away again from Bryant Young, who I think this is more a reflection again on how hard it is to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. When I think you and I agree, and I think our group agreed when we did this, because he finished last among our group.
Last of the 17 we looked at.
Yeah, 19.
Sorry, 19 we looked at, correct.
Yeah, for that. When you can check that out online. And again, none of us had anything terrible to say about Bryant Young. Just Bryant Young, to all of us, has the weakest resume of that crew.
Agreed.
He's not even the top 49er, in my opinion. All right, so we have this. So what helps what?
Well, the biggest beneficiary, again, I think, of this group is Kevin Williams. I hate saying it, but there are 3 people technically ahead of Kevin Williams, and 2 of them are in.
Right.
So, I think DeMarcus Ware, of course, is still ahead of him. I know Ware is sort of a linebacker, defensive end hybrid.
Yeah.
I still put him on the defensive line ahead of Williams, even though Williams was, again, in my opinion, is the best defensive lineman not in the Hall of Fame, better than Seymour. And that's my opinion. I'm a Patriots fan. One of the best run blockers of my lifetime. Well, run stoppers, excuse me, my lifetime. So I think that helps. It helps Kevin Williams. I think this helps Rondé Barber because Butler's out of the way.
Huge.
So
I was going to say that this is massive for Barber.
Yeah, so that clears that way for him.
And the biggest loser is anyone with the position WR.
I think the biggest losers are anyone who's a wide receiver and Patrick Willis. Because they got a middle linebacker in who was going to fall off the ballot anyway, and Zach Thomas is still ahead of him.
Okay, but if they're looking at Young ahead of Willis, and sometimes they eat their own.
True. No, but I was thinking Thomas ahead of Willis. Now, I'm not saying that Young took his spot. I'm saying Mills took his spot.
No, but I think though, just with the whole thing with Willis, though, he still just got there, like on the ballot. If he is sort of ahead or behind at this point, well, obviously he was behind Young. Mm-hmm. This I think is actually not the worst thing for him. This might be probably, since we've been doing this, my most perplexing inductee in Young. And again, Young was a phenomenal player.
Mm-hmm.
We're just loaded with great players.
Yeah, well, that's clear. That was clear from our list.
Well, so let's look at that. So who were the 5 we selected here when we had this?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. So Hester was 1.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm not surprised Hester didn't get in his first time.
I'm not either. And
I would be surprised if he's here 3 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of still waiting, but I'm not surprised that he's.
So yeah, we inducted Seymour, Baselli, Butler.
Yeah.
So, and Hester and Willis were the other 2. So just for the purposes of this, because like our project will continue on next year. We get to hear Jack sort of do another great presentation on Devin Hester. So,
yep,
gauntlets on, brother. See if you can top what you did last one, because you were phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be. So I'm looking at my thing here. So yeah, Bryant Young, Sam Mills we had tied with Willie Anderson fourth for last. So I guess Willie Anderson is also helped by this class.
Very much so.
Because Baselli's gone. So and there's no other offense. Well, we had
especially too because although Anderson needed Baselli to get out of the way because he's now automatically going to go second again, because isn't Joe Thomas up next year?
Yeah, Joe Thomas may be up.
So Thomas is over Anderson, and no disrespect to Anderson. And I don't think Anderson would even say that he's ahead of Joe Thomas.
No, I agree with that. But at least it's good for him. It's good for Richmond to get Baselli off of there, because Joe Thomas is coming one or another. But at least they have cleared the offensive line logjam. They got rid of the wide receiver logjam and created an offensive lineman. They got rid of the offensive lineman, now they've created a wide receiver one. So we'll see what happens, because there's legitimately 6 or 7 actual wide receiver candidates for the Hall who are sitting waiting there. Like one of the biggest losers in this whole thing. Well, clearly Steve Tasker's a loser because he's now in the senior pool, and who knows when he gets up. But Henry Ellard has got to be a loser in this. With no wide receivers getting in, his window is closing rapidly. He needs to get some of these guys out of there so he gets a chance, and he's just not going to get there, I don't think.
Hines Ward's another one, because he just got lapped by Andre Johnson correctly, I might add. Yeah. Zach Thomas is someone who I thought they were really high on.
Yeah. Agreed.
So that's very interesting. Jared Allen. I mean, I just love Rondé so much. I love him now because I don't have to see him all the time.
Well, that's true. But here's a question.
Yeah.
So next year's first-time eligibles, right? We have Joe Thomas, who we both think is the first ballot.
Right.
Dwight Freeney, who's a serious candidate to get in.
Yep.
If he's a borderline first ballot to me. James Harrison, who should have been Super Bowl MVP and was not, but he should have been Super Bowl MVP in that Super Bowl. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time All-Pro, 2008 Defensive Player of the Year, and should have been Super Bowl MVP if they ever gave a award to a defensive player other than Dexter Jackson in that weird Super Bowl.
And an interesting story. I mean, he just couldn't get it, and then once he got it,
yeah,
my God, I mean, it's a great story, James Harrison. Maybe some Steeler fans at the end may not agree with that, but I just sort of love people who try, and overcome that mental block. Because that's the tools were all there. You can't look at that guy and not say that it was, but there's so much instinctual things there that you have to. It can be taught, and when someone just finally gets it, it's a great thing to watch.
Yeah,
I love James Harrison.
And the last big name is Darrelle Revis. That makes it challenging for Rondé.
It does, because I think Revis. I actually like Rondé as a player. I think he was a more complete player, but Revis was shut down. You did not throw anywhere near him. Rondé would drive you crazy. Revis scared the shit out of you.
Yeah. Yep. And
there's a different level to that.
The 1 year he was with the Patriots, he was very, very important for that Super Bowl win. Getting that team there, that defense. And I know that one of his teammates was also very responsible for that Super Bowl win, Malcolm Butler. But but Revis was incredible that whole season. So
this is there are winners, losers. I mean, there are no just the wide receiver logjam that's going to continue. I really thought that one of them was going to get in. It felt like, but it's so hard with it with this. I will say that I've said this before. Props to Butler again. There's a game to be played, and he's been playing it. He's doing the right things. He's talking to the right people. He goes on the NFL Network. He campaigns without being obnoxious or campaigned.
Yeah,
and there's a fine line with that, I found.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I just found a more complete list. One other person I think has come into this for the first time in a long time, a punter, Shane Leckler, is also eligible next year. And I know punters don't get in right away, but Leckler should at least be a semifinalist, even with this list.
Shit, it's so hard. I mean, look at your guy. He can't even get to the semis.
Yeah, Kevin Williams, I know.
Yeah, he can't get there. Our friend Richmond can't get there.
No. So it is so hard to get in this hall. They like we always say, the Pro Football Hall, now that they've realized their problems, because they have realized their problems, they've realized the weaknesses they've had, and they're trying to correct them. I mean, one of the problems they now have is only one senior candidate, but the new guy coming in says he gets that, and they're going to look at it for 2026, which stinks in the meantime. But like, I mean, the people I haven't even mentioned, by the way, coming up, Jari Evans from your team, Navarro Bowman, Elvis Dumerville, Tamba Ali, Cam Chancellor, DeMarco Murray, Carson Palmer. Like, some of these guys aren't getting in, but like, there's some very, very good players who retired that year. Matt Forte, D'Angelo Hall, Carlos Dansby, Jay Cutler. Well, Jay Cutler's never going to get, but there are some very, very good players who'd like.
Think about Forte for a second, because he captured the imagination for a lot of people. Really good back, but someone who I'm probably not going to rank in the top 300. And he was that good. That's how flipping hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was a better running version of Kevin Falk, in my opinion. Falk, I think, was slightly better receiver.
Okay.
But Forte was significantly better runner. But Forte was receiving back. Falk was a running receiver. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, it does.
But I mean, but even that, like the progenitor of that position, Larry Centers, he was like the first one of those guys who you could just count on. It led the league in receptions year after year. Hasn't come close either. Brian Westbrook was eligible this year. He hasn't come close. Brian Mitchell, who is a receiver, running back, and returner. He's third all time in yards in NFL history. Hasn't come close. So it's going to be hard for people like that to even get there. What's his name? Who was with the Saints for so long, who just retired?
Oh, Sproles.
Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
Sproles is a guy any team in the league would love to have had Darren Sproles on their team. I don't think he's ever going to get nominated.
And all would have passed on because of his size.
Yeah. Like, I don't think, as good as he was for as long as he was good, he's probably never going to see even the semifinalist list. So it's just tough. The good news is there are no wide receivers. So at least we're not adding to the logjam.
So it's going to continue when we look at this next year. I don't know if we're going to do a basketball one. I sort of put out feelers. I'm not getting a whole lot of people seemingly that interested. So,
okay.
But maybe that might change.
Particularly this year, since the number one guy is Joe Johnson, and he played 2 games with the Celtics, so he reset his eligibility. Celtics, by the way, may actually have room for him again because they traded 7 players and only got 2 back today. So they have 5 open spots on their roster.
Oh, so, all right. So since we're looking, because the big NBA trade deadline happened, Harden's gone. Okay, so Harden's going to be a first. Let's throw at this point. We're pretty much done except for the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I just want to throw. I'm just going to throw some shit at a wall at you here.
Sure, go ahead. 100%.
Right.
How's that different than everything else we do?
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when we finally meet up either in Winnipeg or Chicago, we'll have nothing to talk about. We might have to bring our wives.
We might. Or we could just throw shit at a wall, or axes, or darts, or something. Who knows?
Well, I'll be in Winnipeg. I mean, it's sort of like old Viking country, I think.
Yeah. So
no, maybe not. I don't know.
We'll drink out of horns and throw axes at targets. So there we go.
Nice. James Harden is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
Should he be? Harden is now going to be teaming up with Joel Embiid. So this is good. Now, I was trying to think, how many goddamn superstars has he been with? And he has no titles still.
Yeah, and I was listening to, I've listened to 2 or 1.5 of the Bill Simmons podcast about the deadline today. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys on there, Waze, pointed out that his last good playoff series was against the Spurs in 2012.
Mm. Yeah, it's probably true.
Been 10 years since he's had a good playoff series. And that can't be good for your resume. But again,
but if Tracy McGrady is a first ballot Hall of Famer, how is James Harden not?
Yeah, well that's the thing. The bar for the
right
for the Basketball Hall of Fame is so incredibly low.
Yeah, and here's a guy who can play defense, usually chooses not to. Right. It's not like he's a bad defensive player. He's an unmotivated defensive player, in my opinion.
He just looks like, he always looks on defense like he just came from Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. Like, and his stomach is full and he doesn't want to move that much. When he's motivated, he 100% can do it. 100% can do it. But he just doesn't. And I by the way, I did love, there was a photo that someone did that with Harden being traded, broke up. It said end of an era, and it's a picture of Durant, Harden, and then a chair with a screen on it with Kyrie Irving.
End of what era? I mean, like, this is even.
He has. I don't think he's even been a year, has it? It's been just over a year.
Yeah, this is like this only means something to a Kiss fan, but I mean, this is just like this is only like the Vinnie Vincent era.
Mm.
Thank you for being maybe one of the few people who got that.
I was trying to remember Vinnie Vincent's face.
Like, he was the Egyptian warrior. He had the Ankh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So he was the last guy to put on makeup, first guy kicked out right away after because they all couldn't stand him. Imagine you're too obnoxious for Gene Simmons.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, my friend.
Nice. So that is also one thing, like, at least this spring, the playoffs in the NBA and the NHL, there's like 10 different teams that could win all of them.
The Eastern Conference of the NBA right now, your 8th seed is the Nets.
Yeah.
They're the 8th seed right now.
So you think Ben Simmons is not going to play this year?
Yeah, of course he is. He's going to take him some time to get in real basketball shape, but he'll definitely play. He's not injured. He just, I mean, it's good. He'll be on limited minutes for like 2 weeks.
No, Brooklyn too, because like, what if also some restrictions get lifted? Because the winds are sort of changing more in that direction.
Yeah, my company announced that all of us are going to be back in the office full time on the 7th of March.
Okay, so things could very well change in New York State. Kyrie on the road. I mean, you and I talked about this a few months ago, and we both thought it was the right decision just to have him not play. But then, in a world where there's just distraction after distraction after distraction, he moved down in the distraction list. And when he did come back, it was like he never missed a game, which, again, incredible. You know, like he's done super well. I mean, like, we will have a Lakers team with possibly 5 future Hall of Famers that may not even make. And this is the expanded playoffs now.
No.
And they just can't get it together. I read that apparently they were looking to ship Westbrook for John Wall.
Yeah,
Like that would work any better?
They've made that trade once before in the league, so they were desperate to get Dennis Schroeder from the Celtics today. And
where did he land? Where did he land?
We traded him with Bruno Fernando, who was very good at dunks, and one other guy who I will think of in a second. And Enes Kanter Freedom to Houston,
who got cut. We
traded Houston for Daniel Tice. It's hilarious to trade him to the team that cares the most about China in the league.
Well, he got summarily released.
Oh yeah, of course.
So Enes Freedom, I think, is now free to pursue whatever endeavor he wants because his NBA career is over.
Probably.
Yeah. And well, kudos to him. I mean, I don't know if that's what he set out to do at the start of the year, but I think he knew that's where this was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw on his Twitter, oh God, he just completely trashed LeBron. He's going scorched earth.
Oh yeah. Good for him.
Yeah. He's putting his money where his mouth is. I don't quite know where, but it's sort of interesting too, just because he does that, then all the regular memes come up where, well, he's our favorite player, and they do that meme where it's like 20 white guys in their Oakleys.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think that's quite accurate in terms of who his fan base is, but I said before, I'll say again, athletes can say as much or as little as they want.
Correct.
And when they say something stupid, we'll be there to call them out.
Correct.
So anyway. I think with that, I was going to talk, but I think I might save this for next week because I want to see how this plays out. Women's hockey in the Olympics. Ironically enough, if there's anything I've watched the most of, it's been women's hockey. I've watched 3 of the Canada games, 3 of the US games.
I've actually watched quite a bit of women's hockey myself. So
okay. And the sad thing is, I've been realizing too, we're right where we were 20 years ago. I don't know if you know how they set up this tournament, where they've got 5 teams in one group, well, 5 in each group, but in the US-Canada group, which also included Finland, Russia, the Russia Olympic Committee,
and
Switzerland, and they put the 5 dregs in the other one. So all 5 in the Canada-US group automatically advanced with the top 3 in the others. Do you know why they did that? Because they did this in the last Olympics too.
Explain it to me.
Okay, they did it. This is not me conjecturing. This is what they said. I'm paraphrasing, maybe not correctly, but it wasn't so that they could get a US-Canada guarantee a US-Canada game. That's not why they did it. Because they were concerned about the US and Canada being able to run up the score. So you're taking away that they said it.
I know, but yeah. I was just laughing because Canada still run up. How many goals are scoring in Switzerland?
Oh fuck!
It was like 13,
something like that. Yeah, and that just shows that here we are 20 years later, and this is not an Olympic sport. I know I'm watching it.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the same show. Maybe something's going to change. Where I know that in the last World Championship, Finland was a surprising silver medalist. But it's just, it's not fair. I honestly believe, and here, I'm going to put this out here, see whether you can come up with anybody else. I don't think that there's ever been an Olympian in history, more than any US or Canadian women in any Olympic Games in hockey, that knew for sure that they were going to win a medal. I'll put that over Usain Bolt, who could fault.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be true.
Or any injury that could happen to an individual.
I mean, other than the dream team, the original dream team in basketball.
Okay, other than that, yeah, that would be the close. That would be just yeah.
And they're 54-point win against Angola.
Yeah. Okay. No, and it'd all be tied at 100%. So let's just say they're tied, and it hasn't changed. Whereas in Olympic men's basketball, even if the greatest Americans still played, because unfortunately they don't. Although that's not just an American thing, that's a worldwide thing.
Sorry, offensive player of the year was Cooper Kupp. So not MVP, but offensive player of the year. So,
well, elevator up.
He was certainly important for my fantasy team. I did pretty well to draft my fantasy team. I had Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel as my 2 starting wide receivers.
Nice.
So,
well, once again, I failed to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I won my league. I got a check for $350. It was nice.
Nice. Why the fuck am I buying beer? Oh, because like I said, like you always point out, because you keep losing bets. Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway. Did they do the defensive player of the year? Because
they did it. It was the very first one they did. It was T.J. Watt. His brother announced it.
Who were the rookies?
It was what's his name, Micah Parsons, and not Mac Jones. I couldn't really see. It was one of the wide receivers. It was either Waddle or I think it was Watt. No, not sure who it was.
Okay. That doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean that's just something I've been looking at, and I don't want to take away from what they're doing on the ice. It's incredible, but the rest of the world isn't even close to catching up.
Right. And it's kind of funny because they're having trouble getting baseball being an Olympic sport because European countries don't play essentially in the Olympics. But there's a whole heck of a lot more competition in baseball and softball than there is in women's hockey.
Right. And for reasons, well, why the hell would we know? We're not in Finland or Russia or there's obviously phenomenal female athletes in those countries. They just don't gravitate to hockey. They just don't. And I'm sure they've actually did get better, but the Americans and Canadians got so much better. So I also bring this up. So if the Canada USA game, which is probably going to be the thing I'm going to look forward to the most, again, which I realize the irony in this statement, as I'm just saying, women's hockey should be abolished from the Olympics. And the one game I would say that if we happen to be in the same city, we can only see one thing together, I would say that's the game to watch. But you've got maybe 40, 50 women who are decent at a really good level, because you sure as hell see it when it's not US and Canada playing. The level just drop right off. You can't have a league. So if the US, Canada, and it's a big barn burner again, it's like, okay, let's do what the WNBA does. No, because it's going to be shit. Because you're going to spread out all these women into what now, 10 teams?
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a solution, but they've done it. They've given exposure and it didn't work.
Fair enough. So anyway, this is actually a good segue to my good, bad, and ugly, believe it or not.
Women's hockey?
Yep.
All right. Bring it on.
So the good, the bad, the ugly, I look at, I guess you call it the hammer. It's the last thing we do. I look at the things that went well, things that didn't go well, and everything in hockey or in sports. So my good this week is Vancouver Canucks hired Cami Granato as their assistant GM.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the greatest players in women's hockey, First ballot Hockey Hall of Famer, easy first ballot Hockey Hall of Famer.
U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer. I think she was, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but I think the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame inducted a female player before the Hockey Hall of Fame did. Actually, I know they did. I just don't know if it was Cami.
They're up to the memorial section right now for people who've passed away. So they did a big thing on John Madden, but Mick Tinglehoff and Demaryius Thomas, Charlie Johnson, Sam Hoff.
Mine just started on that. That's how far behind I am on that.
Yeah. So not surprising. I'm always a sucker for these things. David Patton. That sucked.
Actually, maybe, if we just sort of did it the same way, then your section would be so much quicker.
It would. Yeah, we just did a quick thing. Vincent Jackson, Tom Maddie, Dan Reeves, another person who Pro Football Hall of Fame is.
Here's the depressing thing as I'm watching this. Way too many of these are in full color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just where I'm going with this, just they're all young men. A lot of them.
Don Maynard.
Who's Tara Deeker? Who's that?
There's a section with her. There are people I'm not sure who they are. Oh, Jim Fossil. Claude Humphrey, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
There's some people in there. I'm not quite sure who they are. They're clearly other folks. Curly Culp.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Bam Cunningham.
And just look at Steve. Anyway, that's football. We love it. We hate it. We're disgusted by it. We can't stop watching it.
Yep. So anyway, so I just like the idea that I think we've gotten to the point now that we're figuring out that at least in terms of people associated with sports, the old boys club doesn't have to be an old boys club.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing I sort of want to comment with that is, and it's fantastic that the Canucks are doing that. And from what I know of Cammy Granado's career, she deserves this opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I hope she does well. I truly do. At the same time, because everyone's so hypersensitive, if Cammy sucks at her job, she shouldn't get to keep it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But I mean, that's the situation with everything.
No, I know, but I mean, like I think it's going to bleed into your bad in some in some weird way. Because Cammy is I guess hockey's version of Becky Hammon, right? Certainly,
yeah, very much so.
Yeah, has the pedigree to sort of show this. I don't see why this couldn't very well work. I mean, like we talked about Kim Ng and how happy we both were. For those who aren't aware who she is, she's the general manager of the Marlins. But if she can't get them to at least a 500 season in the next 3 years, she's got to go.
Depending if that's what the owners want, let's be honest.
That's also very well.
I mean, the Marlins are a completely separate case. They exist in a different league from everybody else. Just by the way, and one other thing I want to say, good is now we're talking baseball. I've been really critical of the baseball negotiations. It looks like some ground was covered today.
Universal DH, that seems.
Universal DH. They are eliminating worst team gets first pick. They're going to have a draft or a lottery to try and incentivize some winning. And they're also eliminating draft compensation for players not signing with your team after you draft them. Like you used to get a backup, which I think is also an interesting thing. So there at least seem to be movement where there wasn't any before. So I'm hopeful that we'll have a season on time. Manfred came out and said that any missed games is not what they're looking for. So we'll see exactly what happens after what's been nothing but negative stuff for the last 3 months. It was nice to see at least something that seemed like they agreed on something. You know what I mean?
But he's still the worst commissioner in sports, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It should never have gotten to this point.
Hey, did you watch the NHL All-Star game?
I did not.
Okay. Kudos. Bettman, if you had something to do with that, it was fun, man. It's hard. I think basketball was hard enough, I think, and they figured out something to make it a little bit more fun when none of them are playing defense, but then they actually started to do that in the last one that we saw. This one with the 3-on-3, since there's not going to be any defense and no checking, just whoever came up with the 3-on-3. I don't know if that was Bettman or just he proved it, whatever. No, it's different. It's fun. It's just lots of scoring.
I knew there was a mini tournament, right? Too.
Yeah, it's they have the Pacific versus the Sun. I forget which.
Yeah,
and then just sort of like play at the end. It's unique. They embraced the whole Vegas thing of that. It was usually these games are complete colossal duds, and in terms of overall.
You mean like the Pro Bowl?
I haven't watched a Pro Bowl in 20 years, man.
I think Mac Jones is still running somewhere. He ran directly to SoFi Stadium. Someone put a hand on him and he was running out, and the next defender just kind of looked at him as he ran by, and he ran like 60 yards down the field.
Yeah, I
scored.
I can't even remember the last time. You know, it had to be maybe more than 20 years.
Yeah. So anyway,
all
all right.
The bad.
So the bad I want to go into just the hiring cycle, which went weird as soon as Sean Payton. Like the first part was normal. Sean Payton resigned, and then everything went bonkers in the hiring thing. And we ended up with technically Miami has an African-American coach, although he was like, I just would like to identify as a human. My mother is white. My father is black. My mother faced racism for marrying a black man. My father faced racism because he was a black man. That's all I really want to talk about. That's essentially what he said today. Because he's got an Irish last name too. So, you know, whatever. But then what I wanted to, the Texans make the Marlins look competent. Like the Texans, I firmly believe the Texans are the worst run organization in sports.
Yeah.
They are certainly the only team where the owner is getting advice from his spiritual advisor.
Is that true?
Yeah. So Cal McNair is odd, but so remember, one of my favorite phrases is a Cheney committee, right?
Yep.
Something I've talked about, where Dick Cheney was in charge of George W. Bush's vice presidential search. It's like, hey, what about me? Commenting to this, there have only been 3 that I know of in my life. There's been that. There was Cheney. There was Pope Benedict, who was in charge of the Pope search when he got named Pope. And there's a guy from Jeopardy who that didn't work out so well, right?
I think you only researched the Pope thing because of your Jeopardy, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I knew it at the time. I was so excited because I came up with the phrase Cheney committee, never think it was going to happen again, and then it happened shortly thereafter with the Pope. But we had a semi-Cheney committee in Houston. They interviewed people for weeks, and they kept running everything by Lovie Smith, who was their defensive coordinator. Let's be honest, Houston's defense didn't necessarily set the world on fire this last year. Granted, the talent was probably not up with some of the other guys in the league. I get that, but they didn't exactly set the world on fire.
Oh shit! Did Aaron Rodgers just win MVP?
Yeah.
Well, we both got that wrong a couple weeks ago, didn't we?
Well, he's still. I don't get it. So
not this year. I don't. But
he threw his team under the bus at every opportunity and had worse stats than Tom Brady. And Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor both should have gotten more. Whatever. So whatever. He led his team to a 13-3 record and 0-1 in the playoffs.
Yeah, somehow Peyton Manning's got a big head over it. I don't know why, but anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah. So back to the Texans. So they interviewed all these folks, and they just fired David Culley after one season. Culley was there for them to lose, and they really wanted to hire Josh McCown, who is certainly a man of God. I can say that about Josh McCown. He's very, very religious. Problem with Josh McCown is he's had absolutely no coaching experience at all at any point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And when Brian Flores came out with his accusations and everything, and we can go into Brian Flores's wild being all over the place at this point. I'm here to throw dirt on the Texans, not on Flores. They freaked out. And they're like, hey, we got somebody in the room. Why don't we hire Lovie? And I think it's great. Lovie's actually the first coach to get a third shot as a head coach in the league. First African-American coach. Got a shot as a third-time head coach of the league. Coach, of course, the Bears and the Buccaneers prior to this. But did you notice their announcement, what they said?
I was focusing on something Flores said, but no, I didn't see what the Texans said.
The Texans said he will be our coach for the 2022 season.
Ew.
So this is a one and done again already? What is going on with this franchise? What are they doing?
Okay, you know what I got to make? I got to make a tinfoil hat because I think sometimes I want to put one on and just sort of throw that on and just do my conspiracy theories. by the way, remind me after the show. Speaking of which, I got to read you something my cousin sent me, which is.
Well, we'll talk about off air.
After. But anyway, no, it was that fucked up. So I just wanted to make
Fair
sure
enough.
you knew that. Last week I brought up Lovie Smith, and we talk about sort of like what was it, Ken Kennedy vibes after the death of Jeremy Giambi. When Brian Flores was fired, I had Lovie Smith flashbacks from the Bears, and when I saw Flores' class action suit, and I actually probably again I think the first lawsuit I've ever read, beginning that. I said last week, and I thought it's almost like it's the wrong guy doing it. This was Lovie's,
right?
That he could have done. Do you think Flores, because he wasn't exactly happy that Lovie was hired?
100%.
And for certain reasons, he didn't come off the way he was worded, didn't make him sound too good, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Do you think there's some external pressure you get to hire Lovie, not just because he's black, but because this is the guy you could build a whole class action suit around? That's not Brian Flores.
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, I don't fucking know. I put nothing past the NFL when it comes to this shit.
Oh, we'll get to that in the ugly. But I mean, we talked about this last week. Flores' problem is he has a class action suit
with no class.
In order to have class action, you need at least there's no set number, for class action. Again, I'm not a lawyer anymore. I haven't been for 8 years. I did go to law school. What I'm giving is not legal advice, so please don't do whatever. This is just.
You actually have to make that disclaimer.
To make sure that people know for my job, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm not allowed to give legal advice.
Okay. No, I wasn't sure. So.
Yeah, I like covering my ass anyway.
Can I give legal advice?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I just wondered if I don't have any. I just wondered if
I mean, but you don't have a JD, so no one's gonna necessarily take.
Not only that, I don't even know what a JD is.
It's Jack Daniels.
So. Oh, I have that.
Yeah. But generally for a class action to go forward, there's no set number, but it's usually about 20 to 25 people are involved. I haven't seen anyone else who signed on to this at all. Hugh Jackson came out and said people paid me to lose games, and came out and said nobody pays me to lose games, and I'm not joining the lawsuit. Like, I don't know how many folks are going to have. Sherm Lewis should be part of this. Sherm Lewis should be the number one person, but I don't know if there's anyone who, or how many people are actually going to join and who it would be. I mean, Eric Bieniemy should. There are a few others who should, but they haven't. So I don't know what the solution is. I mean,
it doesn't even have to be at that level, right? Because the whole lawsuit, though, it covered a wider scope, not just of African Americans not getting head coaching jobs, but of other coordinators, like everything right up the food chain. So this could open up a lot of people, and no one's jumping on. And
the interesting thing is that the first two GM hires were African American this year. So it seemed to be more people moving up that way than on the field, which is a strange thing.
Isn't it though? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if Congress needs to get involved. They're going to try to.
Oh, yeah, there's help.
Yeah. At least Arlen Specter's not around. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is, but the Texans are just wacky, and I don't know what's going on. And if they fire Lovie Smith after one season and go to somebody else, like, I don't know. I don't know what the league's got to figure out something.
I'm happy for him.
I'm super happy for. This is not an anti-Lovie Smith comment whatsoever.
No, of course.
Lovie Smith is getting his third chance to coach an NFL team. He should go for it, right? With a franchise you with last year, who's at least somewhat comfortable with the structure, right? He should 100% go for it. But like, just their whole hiring system and what's going on there doesn't make any sense. So Jack East, I just remember the guy's name is Jack Easterby, is the religious advisor. He used to be the chaplain for the Patriots.
Well, why does it feel like something that Will Ferrell could play?
Jack Easterby? Yeah.
Yeah, just sort of feels that way. All right, so I don't know. I'm gonna make a tinfoil hat when I'm in Canada. I'm gonna do that. The movers came today, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks away. So
All right. Well,
yeah.
all right. So here's my last thing.
The ugly.
The ugly.
I forgot to do that earlier.
I'm a Patriots fan. There's only one thing this could possibly be. Tom Brady retires.
Mm-hmm.
And a week later, the report comes out. NFL destroyed all the evidence that would have exonerated the Patriots for Deflategate.
That's your Trudeau.
Now, the Patriots fans are directing their anger in the wrong direction. So Walt Anderson, who is a referee, who actually I think did what the best he could do. And again, I'm a Patriots truth or whatever. Walt Anderson's measurements originally, if you go to the report, said that the balls weren't abnormally deflated. And the league said that he must have used the wrong needle and that they were actually wrong. Right? That he forgot what needle he used the first time. So when the numbers came back the second time, clearly there's an issue. Right? So Walt Anderson is not the person to get mad at. Goodell came out and said that he had no idea what happened to all the things like that, right? But Goodell's not the person, as much as I hate him, Goodell's not the person who led any of this stuff. Goodell's merely a figurehead and a boring man at that. He's not the brains of any sort of operation. Okay?
He's not the brains at all.
Correct. He is a figurehead designed to protect the shield by taking all the slings and arrows that would go to the owners. Mm-hmm. It's not Goodell.
South Park did it well, the Goodell bot.
Yes. Troy Vincent is the guy who informed Mortensen that 11 out of the 12 balls were deflated, which is incorrect. But again, it's not Vincent who seems to be the person who's getting most of the ire because the Patriots beat his team, his Eagles in the Super Bowl back in 2000 and what was that, Super Bowl 40, 39, Super Bowl 39.
Horrible with those numbers.
Whatever it was, 38, 39, something like that. Whatever Super Bowl that was.
Yeah.
After the 2004 season. Vincent seems to be the one who's getting most of the ire. It's not Troy Vincent either. The evil villain is the same evil villain it always has been. It's Jeff Pash.
Tell everyone who he is, because a lot of people don't.
Jeff Pash is the Tom Hagen of the NFL. And for those of you who aren't old or don't know what I'm talking about,
watch that movie first off.
First of all, watch the movie. Tom Hagen is Robert Duvall's character from The Godfather and Godfather Part 2. He's the lawyer / fixer for the Corleone family, right? He's the at one point they make him the head of the Corleone family, the peacetime consigliere, and then there was going to be a war, and he got replaced and did it, whatever. But Jeff Pash is one of the most corrupt individuals in the history of sports.
How corrupt is he?
He should not only be fired by the NFL, he should be disbarred for what he has done. Overall, not just this, but everything that he has done in relation to Deflategate and the cover up of the Washington football team. I was trying to figure out what to call that team. Redskins / Washington football team / Commodores, whatever. That cover up, yeah, whatever it is. All of those things. But he ordered the exonerating evidence destroyed. He's the one who made the big deal about Brady's smashed cell phone. When Brady gave all the information over to Wells, Wells said he didn't need it and thank you. And Brady's phone was broken and he replaced it. Pash came out saying that Brady destroyed his phone to try and do something. They had all of the information.
Why do they hate him so much?
Brady?
Yeah.
The whole thing was this is what happens when you have an entire league run by Jets fans.
That's as good a theory as honestly, I have no idea, because Tom Brady does not seem like the person that you're going to go after when he's the face of the league and the best at what he does.
They wanted to go after Belichick, but Belichick was too smart for them to catch him.
Mm.
And remember, I'm not the Mona Lisa Vito of footballs. Remember that line?
Yes.
Right. By the way, the person who I thought was going to win Man of the Year did win Man of the Year. I figured it was going to be Andrew Whitworth.
I missed that. Who won Man of the Year?
Whitworth from the Rams.
Wait, is that just happening? Oh, shit, that's happening now.
Yeah, second oldest player in the league, oldest lineman, class act all the way. I'm not surprised. When I saw the list, he was the first person I thought was going to win.
That's actually an elevator up, don't you think?
100%.
Yeah, because that stuff really matters in the NFL. In the pro football.
Look how white that dude's beard is and how little hair he has. That's a man who is blocked for a long time very, very well. And winning a Super Bowl means a lot for Whitworth. It means a lot for Stafford. It means a lot for Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald, I think, hits the but Aaron Donald goes from one of the very best to potentially like top of the pyramid or the championship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Defensive players. But anyway, back to Jeff Pash. Jeff Pash destroyed evidence in a criminal case, essentially. What Brady should sue the crap out of the league over this.
You think he will, or you think he's not going to bother?
It depends on whether or not he's actually done.
Okay, so if he's actually done, then that makes it more likely, but does he just sort of like walk away, just go to the next stage? Like what is Tom Brady? Like Tom Brady can do whatever the hell Tom Brady wants to do.
Right.
What does he want to do?
I mean, what Tom Brady wants to play quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers is what Tom Brady wants to do before he retires.
Is that a joke, or does he really want to do that?
No, 100%. 100%. I bet he wants to play quarterback for San Francisco 49ers. He's always wanted to play quarterback for San Francisco 49ers. His hometown team. He would love to do it just once. It'd be hilarious if the Buccaneers and 49ers worked out a trade Jimmy Garoppolo for Tom Brady. That'd be absolutely hilarious. Yeah, if he's done, he might, but maybe he just doesn't care at this point.
I think that's more likely.
But the fact that Kraft didn't sue the league over this is really what began to drive the wedge between the Patriots and Brady. I mean, it took a few more years and some more championships. When he finally had the chance to leave, he wanted just to try something somewhere else. You know what I mean? And this is a man who Kraft claims as his son, like just basically like a son to him. Jeff Pash, as long as Jeff Pash is with the league, you cannot believe anything they say because he's a liar. And he will do anything to protect the shield, even if it's completely creating conspiracies of the whole cloth. He's also the guy with star caps, by the way, which is the even dumber. Like, I'm a Patriots fan. Like, star caps is the single dumbest scandal in the history of the league.
Yeah, if you haven't looked that up, just do a quick Google search on that. Evans talked about that often, especially in relation to his boy
Kevin Williams. Like Kevin Williams and I can think of the other Williams brother, Mike. No, it's not Mike Williams. Can't remember the other Pat Williams.
That is my new mission now. My 2023 goal is to have you interview Kevin Williams.
I would freaking love to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, the short version of that is Kevin Williams, Pat Williams asked the league what supplement to take. Mm-hmm. The league told them to take X supplement. They took X supplement and there's a banned substance in it that wasn't on the label. Mm-hmm. And then they got suspended for taking the supplement.
Now, just going back here with the NFL honors. I mean, how big is it though that they've got the Man of the Year as the hammer?
Oh yeah, it's 100%. It shows how important the award is. They legitimately said it's the highest award any player can win, and they have the MVP first, and then the Man of the Year award. It legitimately gives what level they hold that award.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of the first things you see when Calais Campbell, whenever he retires. Calais Campbell was an all-decade team. Mm-hmm. He was a hell of a player for a very long time. Yeah. He was also Man of the Year. And that says something about like if there's a character clause, winning man of the year is the ultimate character clause.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I think the show has come to its logical conclusion. It's promotion time. Hey, I wrote a book. Did you know I wrote a book?
You did? Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I did. This was on, you can get that on Amazon. About the late, great Chavo Guerrero Sr. I helped him write his autobiography, Chavo Guerrero Instant Classic. This weekend, Chris Bournet and I, we're going to look at, this crap was on national television. Well, we're looking at the crap on national television in Canada, the Beachcombers.
Excellent.
Yes. No, it's really not. I actually put out something to my Facebook Canadian friends, and I said, hey, what do you remember this? A lot of people remember it fondly, though they can't tell you anything about it.
Understood.
I think it's just one of those things. I don't even remember what the hell we did for how the hell did this go to #1? I just recorded it. Well, I remember what we're doing next week. Next week, we're going to be doing Seasons in the Sun, another Canadian.
I
remember.
Trio.
Yeah. Kingston Trio.
Seasons of the Sun?
Terry Jacks.
Kingston Trio was first though, wasn't he?
I don't know. I just know this was went #1 by Terry Jacks. While you're looking that up, I do remember what we just recorded. It was one that I absolutely hated. This might have been right up your alley. You should have probably taken over, you being the Disney guy. It was A Whole New World. I hated that song. So I might have been the host of the show, but I was really no help. I should have just been drunk for that one. Yeah. I picked the wrong time to stop sniffing glue.
Hold on a second. Kingston Trio's version, Terry Jackson's version was in 74. Kingston Trio's version was in, don't have it.
Well, I don't think anything could have been more depressing than what Terry Jacks did.
64. So they did it 10 years ahead.
It was depressing as shit, and you couldn't escape it in Canada because of our CanCon rules. Yes.
Understood. Yeah. By the way, I would also like to make an announcement. If I wasn't going to get sued into non-existence, I would like to come up with the Jeff Pash NFL Loser of the Year award. Or what's the anti-man of the year? I don't know what we want to call it.
Douchebag?
Scrotum of the Year award to Jeff Pash. Wins the first one. He may win all of them, but he 100% wins the first.
You get sued for that?
Oh, if it comes to Jeff Pash, 100% he'd sue me.
Funny, I thought out of the two of us, I was going to be the one sued for defamation first.
It's not defamation if it's true. That's my.
There you go.
I hope he does, just so we can get the discovery in court. That'd be fantastic.
Nice.
I get enough Patriots fans to support. I get a Patriots fan lawyer to support me, I bet. So.
All right, the gauntlet's been laid out. Thank you all so much for listening. Wherever you are, stay safe, and we'll see you all next week.
All right, take care, guys.